Walang kamatayang balita ukol sa Confidential and Intelligence Fund sa Office of the Vice President. At syempre, ukol sa usaping ito ay damay na lahat ng ahensya ng gobyerno ay matatamaan sa confidential funds. Ayon kay Senator Coco Pimentel na nag-iisang nagsalita so far na ibalik ang confidential funds sa Office of the Vice President at tanggalin ang confidential funds ng Pangulo. Talking of Coco Pimentel is known as one of the dilawan. Pero sa suggestion and opinion niya sa usaping ito ay may punto siya na kailangang ibalik ang budget ng confidential and intelligence funds sa Office of the Vice President para sa safety ng mga kabataan at welfare. Aniya ay kailangan raw mag-implement ng isang batas upang maging patas ang distribution nito at pantay-pantay lahat ng ahensya. But on Karen Davila, known as #1 critic of Duterte's administration, and Dilawan, what are your thoughts on this?
Okay, now let's move on to the budget. House leaders, the small committee, have removed confidential and intelligence funds coming from certain agencies and want to move them to agencies that protect the West Philippine Sea. But interestingly, the Office of the Vice President and the DepEd, at least this is in the House, they've removed all the funds. What are your thoughts as this gets to the Senate?
I think the House has been, if they are following some sort of a flow chart, I think they're correct that we should only give confidential as well as intelligence funds to government agencies which have for their primary mandate some sort of law enforcement, criminal law enforcement, and then or these agencies are involved somehow, hopefully directly involved in securing the national interest or so-called national security matters. So ganon. So the OVP, if you look at the primary mandate of the OVP, Office of the Vice President, wala naman pong primary criminal law enforcement mandate eh. So tama yun, not entitled. And then the education, ganon din, not entitled. But I will use the same standard to look for the other grants of confidential and intelligence funds. And then if the agency also does not pass the standard, then I will have to propose the deletion of the grant of confidential and or intelligence funds.
Okay, but Senator, apparently LGUs get confidential funds as well. And what was discovered, for example, Davao City, from 2017 to 2022, there was such an increase in the confidential funds of Davao City that when VP Sara left the mayorship in Davao, the confidential funds of Davao was 468 million. So when she became vice president, she requested for 500, right? Kumbaga, there's just confidential funds everywhere, even in the LGUs.
Yes, because there is this DILG memorandum circular and we are studying that. No, there's a formula. It comes from the Peace and Order Fund of the LGU. So by law we can control this. So we are looking at it. Kasi maybe the formula was fixed before the astronomical increase in the budget of the LGUs. Kaya lumaki na lumaki. So it's either.
But offhand, would you know, Senator? I mean, apparently not just Davao, but all LGUs have hundreds of millions of confi funds.
The big and the bigger cities, opo, and I think even the provinces. So pwede po natin ayusin po ito by law, and then since we can call this siguro the peace and order discretionary fund, whatever, but we have to be reasonable with the amount. So lagyan natin ng standards, and then the rule is whichever is lower.
Yeah.
Parating around, there will be siguro 2 to 3 formulas, and then the formula which will be implemented is the formula which will yield the lowest amount.
Because ang nangyayari, yung confidential funds of the LGUs, lumabas na mas malaki na sa pondo ng, let's say, education, social services. Nag-iba na yung priority.
Yes, in some cities, merong study din ako nakitang ganon.
Oo.
Yun na nga, but yung mismong concept, ayusin na lang po natin yung mismong concept, because I think it's 30% of the peace and order fund or 3% of the entire LGU budget. So, nagtaasan po yung nagtaasan yung mga budget nila because yung sa local government code, kasi I believe this idea of the intelligence funds for the mayors, for the LGUs, started when the police was still at the control under the control of the local chief executive. So luma pa ito, it is pre 1987 constitution yung concept, but we have to change the concept now, and by law we can do it by putting a cap.
Okay. Now the DICT is asking it'll keep the BICAM, but they were included in the small committee's removal of their confi funds.
Tama.
The DICT wants confidential funds. What are your thoughts?
Well, I will apply my own flowchart, my own rules. The DICT's primary role is not criminal law enforcement. It is not. It may have, but that is not the primary role.
But what about the cyber attacks?
They should come up with policies and then procure equipment if necessary. But all of this need not be hidden. I mean, you can declare it. Declare a line item there. We will buy a mega computer. Okay, then we put the amount. Ganun yan. So hindi naman kailangan hidden ito. Ang problem is lahat gusto. So since I'm enforcing a criminal law, I need confidential funds for everything. But if we push that logic to its absurd extreme end, so ang buong budget pala ng Philippine National Police, pwede nila sabihin confidential fund na, because we're enforcing the revised penal code, we're enforcing almost all criminal laws. So make our fund confidential fund. Hindi, mali. There is something wrong with that kind of a reasoning, na just because we are enforcing cybersecurity law, give us 300 million confidential funds. Huh? And then when you ask them bakit, because we will buy computers, we will buy. So do you buy the computers?
Line item mo na.
On a line item, what is wrong? Sometimes, Karen, alam mo, sometimes nasasabi ko yung paghihingi ng confidential fund, actually, sometimes resulta na yun ng katamaran sa pag-budget ng maayos. Ayusin niyo yung budget niyo at makikita niyo you can do it.
Okay. All right. Another issue now. I want to ask you, in the list of holidays to close in 2024, Malacanang is removed from the list of regular holidays and special non-working days, the EDSA People Power Anniversary. Now, next year it falls on a Sunday, so they said there's no need to include it. But what are you seeing with this action?
No, it's not just it's not that they excluded it because it will fall on a Sunday. It was really excluded, which is wrong. Okay, we should celebrate that peaceful transition from dictatorship to a democracy. We should celebrate that as a nation. Yung being a Sunday, hindi po excuse yun, because generally speaking, a Sunday is not working day for us, for the general population, but it is still working day for some people. Therefore, even sa compensation ng those who are expected to work on Sundays, their compensation will still be, there will be a different formula to compute their compensation because it is or should be a special non-working day. Yun eh. Ganun yun eh. So hindi po yung hindi it doesn't matter that it falls on a Sunday. So it was not really included.
Yeah.
So we should
So
ask the administration, why did you exclude it? Not because it falls on a Sunday. You were really excluding it. And we should not exclude that historic moment in Philippine history. We should always remember that we were able to radically change our society relatively peacefully. So we could actually be an example to other countries, especially if we keep on celebrating it, so that we will remember the details, the context, and the background.
Are you seeing this, Senator, as part of what some described as revisionist history?
Maybe an attempt, yeah, or maybe for step number one, and then at any rate, we still have some alert and vigilant members of our society who pointed this out. So thank you to all of them, and then we should make this an issue actually.
All right.
And being a Sunday is not an excuse not to include it in the list.
All right. On that note, Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel.
Alam mo itong si Karen ay legit dilawan talaga yan. Kaya lagi niyang tinitira ang mga Duterte kasi number one critic talaga yan ng Duterte administration. Na hanggang ngayon ay hindi pa rin sila makamove on sa kanilang pagkatalo. Well, Karen, wala ka talagang magawa kung hanggang ngayon ang mga Duterte ay talagang minahal ng taong bayan dahil hindi mga kurap. May dedikasyon at pagmamahal sa bayan. Kung may mga namatay man sa drug on war ni Duterte, well, deserved nila yon dahil naging salot sila ng bayan at maging mitsa pa sila sa future generation. At ang matatamaan nito kung hindi nasugpo ng administrasyong Duterte ay ang mga taong nasa laylayan. Dahil sa kakapusan nito, naging bisyon na nila ang humit-hit ng drugs at ito ay nakakasira sa kanilang kinabukasan at pumasok na rin sa kalakalan sa pagbebenta ng illegal na drugs na talagang sisirain nila ang kinabukasan ng mga kabataan. Well, kayo, hindi nyo nararamdaman dahil kayo ay mayayaman. Paano na lang ang mga taong nasa laylayan? Kaya ito, pilit na ni-save ng dating Pangulong Duterte ang kinabukasan at ang future generation ng mga kabataan. At kailan ba magpa-prosper sa inyong mga kaisipan ang mga ginagawang kabutihan ng dating Pangulong si Duterte? Wala nang ibang makagawa nito, kundi ang kamay na bakal ng ating dating Pangulo sa pagiging action man at statement niya. At bago nyo i-criticize ang confidential funds sa Davao City, noong nanunungkulan pa bilang alkalde, si BP Sara ay ginamit ito upang tugisin ang mga CPP-NPA na nagpasabog sa lungsod ng Davao. At marami itong namatay. Kaya doon niya ginamit ang confidential funds niya sa Davao. Kaya ngayon, ang lungsod ng Davao ay insurgency free na. Kaya laking takot ng mga CPP-NPA na magiging presidente si BP Sara. Dahil tiyak, tutugisin sila. At bago niya iniwan ang lungsod ng Davao, ay wala ng utang ito. Ganyan ka-responsable ang mga Duterte. Kaya bago nyo i-criticize si BP Sara, scrutinize nyo muna. Well, ano pa nga ba ang maasa kay Karen Davila na isang dilawan? Hindi nyo mapapantayan ang serbisyo ng Duterte. Sa tagal nyong naninilbihan sa gobyerno ay walang nangyari. Kaya sawa na kaming taong bayan. Sang-ayon ba kayo? Comment down. Nag-uulat, what's new?